Welcome back to another passive income portfolio update, showing all of the income I receive outside of my work salary. What I'm trying to do on this channel is to build a portfolio of cash flow generating assets that pay me each month, and these monthly videos show how I'm progressing. In this video, I'll give you an update on the dividends I received in August, and my dividend stock portfolio in general, including exactly how I spent £3,593 on stocks over the month. I'll also discuss my premium bonds and the results of the August prize draw. And finally, I'll run through my income and expenditure for my real estate investments and give you an update on last month's property disaster. Let's get straight into the numbers. Firstly, looking at my dividends. In August, I received £88.31 from 5 different companies. This is a little bit down on the amount that I received in August last year, when I received £100.15. Comparing last year's August dividends to this year's, I haven't sold out of any positions, but just have some payment timing differences. JP Morgan paid me in August last year, but July this year. Unilever paid me in August last year, but the next payment is scheduled for September this year. Apple has increased very slightly. AT&T and Verizon have stayed around the same, and realty income is nearly doubled. So how do my dividends look if we zoom out and look at the totals? This graph shows how much I've received at this point during the last few years. From January to August in 2023, I'd received £1,015. But from January to August this year, I've received £373.35 more, with a total of £1,388.48 so far. And if we look at this graph, which shows the overall dividend totals each year, we can see that my 2024 total so far is now higher than any of the first 3 years of my investing journey. A nice reminder of how far I've come. And it's a similar story looking at this graph, which shows all of the monthly dividends that I've ever received. And we can see that the numbers have been increasing year on year as I keep contributing and reinvesting my dividends. There are a lot of monthly fluctuations due to the different payment dates of my holdings. This is why I prefer to just focus on monthly averages when I'm tracking my progress, rather than individual months. So for 2024, I'm currently averaging £173.56 a month, which is above my 2023 average of £151.01. And if we look at the average at this point last year, we can see that it was £126.89. So it's motivating to see that the year-to-date average has increased by £46.67, which again is really nice to see in a visual when it comes to tracking. However, to get a more accurate analysis of the average, I'll have to wait and see what the full year average ends up as. All dividends received are always reinvested back into the portfolio to buy more shares that will pay more dividends, and then I just allow the compounding process to do its work. Now let's have a deeper look at my stock portfolio that generates these dividends. It currently stands at £70,804 invested. In last month's update, I had £67,211 invested, so I've invested £3,593 since then, and I'll tell you what I've been buying later on in the video. Being fully transparent as always, here are all of my positions, showing all unrealised gains and losses. I'm never too bothered about the market value of my holdings, as I don't ever plan on selling any of the principal. As a dividend investor, I'm only focused on adding to the portfolio to increase my dividend income. Let's now look at how much I deposited into my portfolio in August. Once again, I managed to contribute another £1,667. I hope this isn't getting boring for you, the viewers, but in my opinion, this is what investing should look like. Consistently adding to my portfolio every month and consistently reinvesting all dividends. I've got 4 deposits left to make until the end of the year, and if I can deposit the same amount as I've been doing, I will have invested £20,000 over the calendar year. This is something that I want to normalise long into the future, and it'll mean that I max out my 20k per tax year ISA allowance. This means that everything inside of my stocks and shares ISA will be tax-free, including all dividends and capital gains. With the August deposit, I now have £3,757 in cash and earned £10.37 in interest over the month, as Trading 212 pay 5% on uninvested cash, which is paid daily. That's actually £99.58 received this year in interest on uninvested cash. A really nice bonus for money that would have just sat there doing nothing elsewhere. If you want to sign up to Trading 212 and have a look yourself, I've put a link in the description. Let's now look at how my total amount invested has grown from zero over time, using this graph. The graph is going up and up, and with the large purchases this month, we can see that the line has steepened. My investing approach is very simple. I make a deliberate effort to reduce expenditure and increase my income. Then I pay myself first by contributing every month when I get paid my salary. And I reinvest every penny that I get in dividends. These regular contributions and dividend reinvestments are a key part of my overall strategy, to keep feeding the portfolio, which increases my dividends and accelerates the compounding process. So let's have a look at the stocks that I've been buying over August. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, I've spent £3,594 this month, adding to my existing positions. This is a massive amount for me to spend, and the reason for the huge outlay was the pullback in the market that we've seen over August. The price of a number of stocks I owned dropped quite a lot, which I felt was a great time for me to buy. I've again topped up my ETF positions. I bought 30 shares of EUHD for a total of £631 as it dropped around 4%. I bought 12 shares of VHYL for a total of £608 as it dropped around 5%. I also bought 8 shares of VOOC for a total of £279 as it dropped around 4%. And I also bought 9 shares of VUSA for a total of £715 as it dropped around 5%. I also added to some of my large blue chip holdings. Apple dropped from $227 to $200 in the month, so I bought a further 3 shares at $205. Over the last 3 months, Diageo has dropped from around £27 a share to £23, so I decided to buy 10 more shares at £24.30 each. And finally, in the month, Microsoft dipped from $446 to $373, so I bought another 2 shares at $408. As you can see, I didn't time the bottom exactly, which would be impossible to do, but I just try and time around the bottom area. These buys will add around £92 to my yearly dividend total. In most of my monthly update videos this year, I've mentioned how I was building a cash position as prices were looking high relative to me and my portfolio. And I wasn't trying to time the market over the long term, but I just wanted to hold some cash back in the event of any dips. The large outlay this month is just an example of what I'm trying to do in taking advantage of any dips. I still buy regularly each month, but going into August, I held a cash position of £5,096, which was why I was able to invest such a large amount this month. The market might dip again, or it might not, but I'm happy with the prices that I bought at. After these purchases, this means that the overall yield for my portfolio as a whole currently sits at 3.68%, which has dropped a lot from 3.75% in my last update. This is just due to some of the lower starting yields on my August purchases. I'm comfortable with this as I believe that the yield on cost will grow over time. This current yield equates to around £2,608 per year in predicted dividends, £217 per month, £50 per week, and £7.14 a day. And you can see how much this has increased by since last month's update as I keep building brick by brick. There will always be a discrepancy between my actual dividends received and my predicted dividends, just due to the timing of me purchasing shares and then being eligible through the ex-date of the dividends. I hold all of my shares in the Trading 212 app, using a stocks and shares ISA, which means that all capital gains and dividends are tax-free, as I'm based in the UK. As mentioned earlier, you can also get 5.2% per year on all uninvested cash. If you are interested in starting a portfolio with Trading 212, I do have a link in the description where you can use my code and we'll both get a free share worth up to £100. And if you wanted to, you can just sell that share straight away and pocket the cash. So let's now have a look at how I'm comparing to my forecast. Over August, I forecast to add £1,667, and as mentioned earlier, I have contributed that amount again. 8 out of 8 completed so far with the deposits, which is in my control. Moving on to the dividends. I forecasted to receive £115 and actually received £88. So it's £27 down on forecast, just due to the timing differences that I mentioned earlier. So if we add up my invested total plus my cash total, this comes to £74,561. After 8 months, I'm in a good place to end the year at the 80k portfolio target. And I'm still around £2,000 ahead of schedule as it stands right now. So I'm confident of hitting that 80k target by the end of the year. If I can finish the year with around 80k invested, it means that going into 2025, the portfolio will be generating a dividend of around £250 per month. And this keeps me on course to hit 100k by the end of 2025. This forecast really does motivate me to keep doing what I'm doing, knowing that by the end of 2028, I could have a portfolio generating nearly £500 a month in dividends. Now let's have a look at what I received for my premium bonds in the August prize draw. I won £100 last month, which was reinvested, and I also added £1,000 for my annual bonus. So I went into the August draw with £17,550 invested of the £50,000 maximum that you're allowed. I've been on a bit of a winning roll over the last few months, and won £350 over May, June and July. But sadly, my luck wasn't in this month, and I didn't win anything in the August draw. Which is fine, as these tax-free prizes are never guaranteed. Hopefully I'll have better luck in the September draw. I also invest in real estate and currently rent out 2 buy-to-let properties and a secure car parking space. So over August, this is what the numbers look like. Both flats are now tenanted. I get £775 per month for the 1-bedroom flat, and I've just had some new tenants in the 2-bedroom now paying £1,250 a month. I also get £80 a month for renting out the parking space. The management fee has increased as this charge is based on the income received, and I've also paid the standard finder's fee to the management agency for securing the new tenants. The mortgage has stayed the same. Last month I mentioned that my new fixed rate mortgage would start in August, but it's actually going to be September, so this will increase next month. Now onto the repairs and maintenance. Last month I mentioned about the problems that I had with my previous tenants and the damage that they caused in the 2-bed flat. I paid around £130 in materials to fix all of the issues, but I am looking to claim those costs back through the tenant's deposit. The management company doesn't actually hold the deposit, as it's held by a TDP, a Tenancy Deposit Protection Scheme. I initially thought that I'd have to directly apply to the TDP, but it turns out that the management company first of all asks the tenants if they agree to the costs. If the tenants don't agree, then I have to make a claim through the TDP. The management company have contacted the tenants, but haven't had a reply just yet. So this is just dragging on for another month until I hear from them. Hopefully this can be resolved soon and I'll get my costs back that I incurred for repairing their damage. So my pre-tax profit for the real estate over August is £976.85. That concludes my monthly update, and this is the summary for the month, with £1,075.53 received. I do document my investing journey on this channel, and you can see how this has been progressing if you go back and watch some of my earlier videos. If you are interested in following along, please subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss any future updates. And if you have enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, as it does help the channel out a lot, and it's something that I really do appreciate. So I hope I've covered everything that you wanted to hear, but if not, feel free to drop me a question in the comments section below. I'll be reading and responding to every message that I can. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.